From CBS News Bay Area, this is the Morning Edition.
Hi there, thanks so much for joining us this morning. It is Wednesday, January 21st.
We are so glad you're here. Let's open up those windows and get the day started.
I regret the content I reposted, and I am deeply sorry.
An apology from the mayor of Richmond after sharing conspiracy posts on social media that were deemed anti-Semitic. But despite a heated council meeting, a measure to censure him is being tabled for later.
This will be an interesting trip. I have no idea what's going to happen.
President Trump landing in Switzerland as the U.S. pushes for control of Greenland. His high-stakes address to world leaders with the threat of tariffs and other potential action on the table.
Hey, see? We're already connected, dude.
Plus, bridging the political divide, how one company is driving conversation between blue San Francisco and deep red Texas.
We want you to go big, and as big as you can imagine.
And new life for an East Bay city on the rise. The major Asian supermarket planning to build its largest ever store in Fremont. It's Wednesday. Let's do this.
It's Wednesday, we're halfway through the week, and honestly, the forecast hasn't changed too much. But let's dive into what we're dealing with this morning before you even head out the door. It's early right now, it's 6 a.m., and we are waking up to 40s, anywhere from Morgan Hill all the way over into San Jose. We have some low 40s over in Antioch, too. Just pulling up the National Weather Service's advisories right now. We still have that dense fog advisory just north of Antioch and Concord, all the way over into Solano County, waking up to some low visibility right now in certain pockets, especially the valleys along the highways. So keep that in mind as we head outside this morning. Low visibility means you just need to take it extra slow out there on the roads. For the rest of us, though, closer to San Francisco and across the Bay Bridge over in Oakland, we're seeing clear skies behind me right now, 50s and 40s in the forecast. Daytime highs in those communities, not warming up too much more, only 6 degrees more as we head into this afternoon in places like San Francisco. We're sitting in the low 50s today in Antioch, low 60s all the way down into the Santa Clara Valley. I'll show you some changes that we have in the forecast for us heading into the next couple days in just a bit. For now, back to you.
This is a complete embarrassment as a city council member that we will stand in solidarity and say that this was anti-Semitic conduct and behavior, yet we don't want to formalize it and put it on record. It's very cowardly.
So that is one council member's feelings about not censuring the mayor there. After a push to censure Richmond Mayor Eduardo Ramirez over alleged anti-Semitic online activity, city council members choose, at least for now, to do nothing. We were there too. Big turnout last night. Some want the mayor to step down. Others say he's just being punished for free speech and pro-Palestinian views after sharing a link online related to the Hanukkah Bondi Beach terror attack in Australia. So the mayor apologized before and last night. But our Amanda Harry spoke to some who say an apology is not good enough.
As Mayor Eduardo Martinez sat down at Tuesday's Richmond City Council meeting, he was met with some cheers and some boos. A packed house to hear if he'll be censored over a post he shared on LinkedIn.
It was atypical of what I know the mayor to be.
That was Zoe Panagopoulos' reaction to the social media controversy. In December, the mayor shared a post that perpetuated conspiracy theories about the Bondi Beach massacre. 2 gunmen opened fire on a Hanukkah celebration, killing 15 people in Australia. A tragedy for everyone, but especially members of the Jewish community, like Panagopoulos, who chose to live in Richmond because of the diversity.
And it was really important to me and my spouse that we live somewhere where we would feel welcome and our son would feel safe and like he's not othered. So Richmond was a really easy choice to make.
She says she's spoken to the mayor and feels he realizes the gravity of what he did.
He is apologetic for his posts and he's aware that he did cause people to feel harm.
Before the council discussed 2 measures, one by the mayor to acknowledge his participation in anti-Semitism training, and the other to censor him, Martinez read an apology.
And I take full responsibility for the harm I caused. I regret the content I reposted, and I am deeply sorry.
But for some people, it's still not enough.
I'm not interested in what he says. I care about what he does.
Lisa Disbro is a Richmond native. She's made her life in the city, and she's disheartened by the mayor's actions. She thinks there needs to be real consequences.
He needs to resign. He needs to be held accountable. No one should frighten children, frighten parents, make communities afraid to be identified for who they are.
But Panagopoulos thinks it's time to move on.
There are other issues that we are eager to hear the mayor's position on and see his leadership on, and there are clearly really pressing threats to our communities at the moment, notably among immigrants, and we want the city council and the mayor to be able to direct their attention there. So honestly, I hope that tonight is the last that we hear of this.
So for now, a censure motion, and that's what this is about, a censure motion is pulled. If the city council votes to censure the mayor, he would keep his job. Gianna?
Reed, investigators are searching for the cause of a fire that forced 24 people out of their homes. Flames swept through a Sunnyvale apartment building on Tuesday. No one was hurt, but the entire building was damaged, and it is still not clear when families will be allowed to return. Well, moving around the Bay for headlines in your community. This morning, victims of that massive apartment building fire in Oakland don't know when or if they'll be able to return home. Smoke and flames forced dozens to evacuate the building early on Monday morning. The building has now been red tagged or unsafe to be in, and families don't know where they will go next. Oakland side reports some residents received letters that their leases were terminated. The site also reports that the city of Oakland is demanding the landlord withdraw the eviction notices, saying they violate city law. For now, the city and the Red Cross are offering support. Well, Vallejo's getting a public safety boost. The police department is getting new support from the Solano County Sheriff's Department. Starting today, deputies will be patrolling communities in East and South Vallejo. The 8 members of the Sheriff's Department will be working night shifts to step up staffing. The new partnership is possible by a new state bill that changed work limits on retired deputies. And back in Oakland, Mayor Barbalee says she's doubling down on public safety with a big new investment coming to help grow the city's police force. The announcement comes as Oakland grapples with a deadly start to the year, 8 homicides since January 1st. At a press conference, Mayor Lee will unveil a major public-private partnership aimed at boosting the police department. That's happening today. So it follows last week's graduation of 14 new officers, but with 75 officers lost to attrition and just 618 on staff, the force falls short of Lee's goal of 850.
Happening right now, President Trump speaking at the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland. We've been listening in on what he had to say. So far, he's touched on some pretty touchy subjects like tariffs and also energy production. We'll bring you any major headlines that come from his address as we listen in on it this morning. But of course, overshadowing all meetings between top political and business bosses in Davos, President Trump's grab for Greenland. European leaders this morning hope for a de-escalation after Mr. Trump put a date on steep tariffs against European allies if they don't back his plans. Here's a little bit of a taste of the tone before the president spoke live. Listen.
It'll be an interesting trip. I have no idea what's going to happen.
Absurd that we have an American president who's blackmailing the rest of us, trying to get a piece of land or buy it through threats.
So looking live once again at Mr. Trump speaking to those European leaders. Among other topics, the president says he plans to address something that's a big deal here in the Bay Area, affordable housing. Mr. Trump will lay out how he plans to make housing more affordable for all of us. That's one issue where the president and California Governor Gavin Newsom are also aligned, both saying they want to restrict corporations from buying single-family homes. Well, Bay Area resistance to President Trump's policies apparent on many streets where we live, marking President Trump's first year of his second term in office. You see them here on the video screens behind me. Protesters and students left their jobs, left their classrooms to oppose Mr. Trump's work in office so far. In San Francisco, hundreds marched from Civic Center Plaza down Market Street. It was all part of something called a National Walkout for Our Freedoms, speaking out against ICE operations across the country and also out against military action in Venezuela.
I love the United States. I am an American citizen. I believe in democracy and justice and the rule of law, and it's not happening now.
I'm so fearful for our democracy. I'm so fearful that we'll lose our rule of order, our constitutional law.
So as we listen in to the president's words in Davos happening right now, we'll have more on what he had to say to those world leaders, and also a little bit later in the broadcast, what he had to say about California Governor Gavin Newsom. Remember, our governor is also in Davos and also has an appointment at the microphone to address world leaders. Gianna.
All right, Reed, let's get a live look outside in San Francisco this morning, heading over to the Castro right there. This is where a neighborhood staple is about to close. You see that sign right there? That's Pete's Coffee announced it will shut down the Castro location by the end of the month. It's part of a string of closures across the Bay Area. Employees say around 30 local shops could close. This comes as Pete's parent company prepares for an $18 billion buyout by Keurig Dr. Pepper. Reed?
Well, time right now, 6:10 in the morning. How much power should the President of the United States have over something that has always been independent of politics? Today, justices on the U.S. Supreme Court will consider that very question on the Federal Reserve. While at the same time, we learn the Fed chair himself, Jerome Powell, will be in court to stare down those justices as they take questions.
And leaders at Oakland Unified say they've made big progress in tackling their deficit, but more cuts are still on the table. We'll explain.
Live look outside before we head to break. We're glad you're starting your day with the morning edition. We'll be right back. 6:14 in the morning. We thank you for joining us. So we're watching live video coming to us from our many monitors all across the globe. And this morning we're watching as the U.S. Supreme Court takes up a case that could reshape how much power presidents have over something that is by design independent of politics. Of course, we're talking about the U.S. Federal Reserve. The justices will hear arguments on whether President Trump can fire Fed Governor Lisa Cook or others on the Fed. One target of the president, Fed Chair Jerome Powell. Mr. Trump would like to see him removed as chair as well. We've learned, upping the stakes today, Powell himself will be in the courtroom for the arguments, underscoring what's at stake for the central bank. This morning, as protests continue in Minneapolis after the fatal shooting of Renee Good by an ICE agent, the Department of Justice served subpoenas to Governor Tim Walz, Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey, and other local leaders. The DOJ alleged Frey and Walz conspired to impede law enforcement amid the Trump immigration crackdown. Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison and the mayor of St. Paul have also faced subpoenas. Frey will appear in U.S. District Court in Minneapolis February 3rd. He says the Trump administration is just weaponizing its power to intimidate local leaders. President Trump's oversight of a board to rule over the future of Gaza will include Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Mr. Netanyahu confirmed this on social media, saying he was invited personally by Mr. Trump to be on what the president calls the Board of Peace. Interesting to note, Russian President Vladimir Putin, public, saying he has also been invited to be on the board. The White House says more than 10 countries have already signed on.
Well, California Republicans have filed an emergency petition with the U.S. Supreme Court to block Prop 50 from taking effect before the 2026 midterms. They argue the new congressional maps were illegally created based on race. It's the latest legal challenge in the battle over congressional redistricting. It all started last year when the Texas state legislature passed a new congressional map that would give Republicans up to 5 more seats in the U.S. House ahead of the 2026 midterms. California voters passed Prop 50 in November to counter that, with the goal of giving Democrats up to 5 more seats in the House. Last month, the Supreme Court ruled that Texas could use its new congressional map in this year's elections. Well, another major winter storm is on the way from Texas to the Carolinas, and this one could be brutal. Forecasters warn this weekend's system could bring heavy snow and dangerous ice across the South and into the East Coast. Cities like Atlanta and Dallas could see slick roads, flight delays, and freezing temperatures into next week. Experts call it potentially catastrophic. Ice could snap power lines and knock out powers for days. Jess, that is a lot to look out for. Maybe a lot of people traveling to that area, too.
Exactly. So we're continuing to keep a close eye on our friends all throughout the South and the North, too, because if you take a look at the wind chill, when you factor that into our current temperatures over into the South and up into the Northeast, we're sitting around 2 degrees all the way up into Maine, about 13 degrees over into New York. But let's actually head over into the South real fast, because what the National Weather Service has done, they've issued plenty of winter weather advisories and winter storm watches across northern parts of Texas, all the way into Arkansas and across the Mississippi, too. They're gearing up for snow and ice widespread throughout that region. And back here in the Bay, we have clouds. We actually are just dealing with cloudy skies today. It's a very mild day for us here in the Bay Area. We're very fortunate to live in one of the most beautiful parts of the country where we get very mild forecast pretty much all year round. Now, here's the thing. As we head into the Wednesday and Thursday forecast, so today, heading into our forecast tomorrow, we could see some light showers sweeping in from a cutoff low closer to Santa Cruz all the way down into Monterey. The rest of us just getting the leftover clouds from that exact system that continues to track its way to the south. A couple other things to talk about, too, here in the Bay Area. Light winds continuing to move offshore, which for the most part is actually good news, except for the fact that we're still dealing with not the best air quality, so it doesn't really break it apart at the surface level. Here's our morning temperatures, by the way, as we head outside this morning, sitting in the 50s right now in San Francisco, 40s across the Bay Bridge over into Oakland, and 40s all the way down into the Santa Clara Valley. A very mild forecast for us this morning, still under a dense fog advisory off into the East Bay right now. That'll expire around 11 a.m. closer to Solano County. We're sitting in the 60s today for our daytime highs near San Jose, all the way off into the East Bay. We're dropping down into the 50s, so even cooler compared to yesterday in places like Oakland, Concord, and as we continue to head off into the east, Antioch as well, and we're also holding on tight to some 50s all the way into the North Bay. Let's take a look at the next 7 days, though, because I want to paint this picture a little bit better. Heading into the rest of this week's forecast, I just mentioned really briefly there's a cutoff low. That's basically an area of low pressure, some stormy weather tracking to the south of us right now. That's why you saw some of those leftover showers actually making their way into Santa Cruz and just along that coastline. The rest of us just getting leftover clouds, and we're continuing to see some of those leftover clouds holding on tight to us for Thursday and Friday. We clear up and warm up just a little bit as high pressure builds in for Saturday, sitting in the 60s with sunny skies. And then we're kind of back to a very mild forecast pattern for us as we head into early next week. More on that coming up in a bit. For now, back to you, Gianna.
All right, Jessica, let's talk about the roadways right now. Live look here for that ride and say good morning to some of our super commuters getting ready to hop on that drive from 580 over into the Altamont Pass there. You can see it is jam-packed already. This is a live look right at that 205 connector coming out of Tracy. So pretty busy already as you work your way through there. We're also starting to see those brake lights building. Live look here at 880 near Paseo Grande. You can see things are getting pretty easy if you're heading southbound, so give yourself some extra time there as well. If you're headed to the San Mateo Bridge, also getting crowded this morning. That East Bay commute certainly starting to thicken up in some of our freeways like westbound 80, San Mateo Bridge, South 880. By the way, Capitol Corridor trains 526, 535, and 534 are canceled. So if you are commuting out of the East Bay, keep that in mind. Bay Bridge Toll Plaza, look at how busy this is. Bumper to bumper traffic already. Reports of a crash not too far from the maze, so making it extra busy for that commute. And that is a look at your morning commute. Time right now is 6:19. It's a simple idea. Pick up the phone and you are talking to a Republican in Texas. The social experiment in San Francisco that's drawing some buzz.
Live look outside before we head to break. We're not phoning it in. We're picking it up. We'll be right back.
Well, as California and Texas remain at the forefront of the growing political divide between red and blue states, one local startup is hoping to bridge the gap with good old-fashioned human connection.
All right, our Suji Nam shows us a social experiment in San Francisco looking to prove we're all just a phone call away from building bridges.
Hey, this is Chris calling from San Francisco. Who am I speaking with? What's up, Shane? How you doing?
Tucked away in a corner along Valencia Street.
Oh, it's very awesome, yeah.
Chris Renfro is talking to a complete stranger in Abilene, Texas.
What's the wildest thing you've seen as a correctional officer?
It's called the party line. In San Francisco, the phone states, "Call a Republican," and a phone booth in Abilene encourages Texans to call a Democrat in San Francisco.
Hey, see? We're already connected, dude.
Tech startup Matter Neuroscience recently launched the project. The company says the goal is to, quote, find biomarkers for happiness. Using data from the 2024 elections, the company wanted to connect people in one of the most liberal cities in America with people living in a conservative town of about 130,000 people.
My mom lives in San Antonio, so I figured call somebody in the South and see what they're up to.
So I picked up the phone myself.
Hello, this is Suji here in San Francisco.
And the owner of the bookshop hosting the phone booth in Abilene picked up.
Try to connect human to human, and it doesn't really matter what our opinions are. We could be different on a whole variety of topics, but at the end of the day, we share humanity.
Talking about politics is encouraged, but it's also as simple as just getting to know someone. And for Christopher, he hopes that with more candid conversations at the phone booth, more people are encouraged to visit the Bay one day.
No matter what their views or beliefs are, I think it's fun to be able to just be a positive individual, share that energy across the country.
Because you just never know how life-changing that one phone call could be.
I mean, what a great story, Suji Nam. Thank you for that. Two things I love most about this. Number one, you're connecting with a complete stranger, building that bridge. And who knows if maybe they will come to San Francisco and you'll get to meet them in person or really make that human connection as well, like physically.
Yeah, and you know what? As I've looked at where we are in our country right now, I've had to do some soul searching myself, and I am guilty of cutting off people who I disagree with because I don't assume positive intent. I don't look at their why. And I think that's so important, and conversations like these can do that.
It really can.
Such a great story, Suji Nam. One hell of a great reporter.
I want to try it.
Yeah, well, I can phone many. They're all my family. They're in Utah. Time right now is 6:26, and I love you. A tax proposal targeting mega corporations in San Francisco could be on the ballot this summer. Will it drive out big business? We'll have that, plus troubles on BART. Veronica Macias, what are you learning?
Good morning. Well, after several major service disruptions this past year that we've responded to, today the board of directors for BART is going to hear all about the root cause of those equipment failures this past year and how it could impact a financial bailout come November.
From CBS News Bay Area, this is the Morning Edition.
And welcome to your Wednesday as we take a live look outside. Good morning to you. And look at that gorgeous view. You see the bridge off in the distance and Grace Cathedral right there, too. What a great way to start your day. Jessica, looking pretty good so far.
Looking great. Cool and cloudy, though, as we wake up and head outside. And I want to start off with a couple things on our checklist before we even walk out that front door. We're still around 6:30 right now, and we're sitting in the 40s and 50s, actually, all the way over into our coastal communities. Half Moon Bay right now sitting at 56 degrees, while the rest of us are dealing with some very chilly temperatures throughout our inland spots. And then as we take a look at what the National Weather Service has done, they've issued a dense fog advisory for our friends over in Solano County right now that spills in from the two-leaf fog that's over in the Sacramento Valley right now. We're continuing to monitor those conditions closely, especially at the surface level. Gianna has some really good imagery right now from some of our roads out there that has some foggier conditions, while the rest of us closer to the bay are actually just dealing with clear conditions right now. Now, there's going to be some more clouds rolling in from offshore as we head outside today, mostly surging in from the south. We're sitting in the 60s today, anywhere from San Jose all the way over into the East Bay. We're actually cooling down into the 50s this afternoon near Antioch, 50s up into the North Bay. And as for the clouds that are starting to roll in, we could even see some light showers sprinkle into places like Santa Cruz. I'll have more on that coming up in just a bit. Back to you.
All right, we want to get a live look at Wall Street right now, just open for trading, just dipping in right now to show you a little bit of a contrast. Yesterday, the Dow was down at this hour some 400 to 500 points. Today, we're in the positive. We'll continue watching that, but we just wanted to get that on the record and show you it's a little bit of a better day. At least it's starting on Wall Street. Gianna?
Yeah, much better start for sure. Well, BART's Transbay Tube has seen its share of issues over the past few months. That includes smoke filling cars and delaying a vital part of the commute. But now officials are starting to get answers about what went wrong. Veronica Macias is live at the Orinda station with new details on what's causing problems. But Veronica, it's not just the Transbay Tube. We've seen so many problems for other lines for BART recently. What are you hearing?
Good morning, Gianna. Well, this report that is going to be presented today to the board of directors looks at all lines, but it primarily focuses on the M line that goes through the Transbay Tube. This was the focus of their investigation, which was by a third party. This morning here at BART, it looks clear, but frankly, I lost count last year of how many times we were reporting on a service disruption early in the morning that left people really panicking about how they were going to get to work or school, scrambling for ride shares. So today, this report, again, by a third party, really trying to give people some answers and looking at the root cause of the problem. Now, take a look. They even presented pictures here of some of the damage that they found in the Transbay Tube, some of the debris that is in there. Really, the problem is the infrastructure. This review, it points to power system changes, grounding issues, and wet, dirty conditions in the tunnel. This report, again, presenting the pictures that they found, some of the damage in the Transbay Tube, some of these incidents this past year caused major delays. Two of the major incidents, though, caused serious panic when riders suddenly found themselves trapped inside the Transbay tube as their BART cars filled with smoke. However, BART's 9-incident investigation here that's going to be presented later this morning did not include these two shutdowns, which the agency's engineering team analyzed separately here. Now, all of this is also important as the board hears what the problem is with the infrastructure. It also is going to weigh in whether or not the public is going to buy into this public financial bailout for BART. They're in a deficit right now, and they need, come November, the public to vote on bailing them out. Whether or not the public is going to see this is, wasted money or not is going to factor into what is presented at the board today with the problems along the infrastructure with BART. So it seems like we're talking about some of the infrastructure problems in the Transbay tube, and it could be easy fixes, but it all depends on how expensive they are as well, Gianna.
Yeah, so many people rely on BART to commute and go to school, Veronica, and to travel. So it'll be interesting to see what they do with this new information. Thank you for that report.
Veronica, thanks. Okay, so moving around the Bay Area for more headlines where you live. We start in the East Bay this morning. Breathing room and a budget crunch at Oakland Unified Schools. So what leaders thought was a budget shortfall of $100 million is now estimated to be half that amount. Oakland leaders say they achieved that through a spending freeze, mid-year cuts, and help from outside financial experts. Still, Oakland schools report continuing losses. Moving on the map now to San Francisco, where school district leaders expand a tutoring program to help more children get to reading at grade level. New city funding will pay for added tutors. District leaders say the program last year raised reading proficiency from 24% to 54% for students in 20 schools. The district has a goal of 70% of third grade reading at grade level by 2027. So if you live in San Francisco, chances are you'll have a say in the future of a proposed tax on billionaires to help balance the city's $800 million budget deficit. It's something called the Overpaid CEO Act. Supporters out gathering signatures, and they got enough to qualify the measure for the June ballot. If voters make it law, corporations that do business in San Francisco will face enormous taxes. For example, those who earn more than $1 billion and pay executives more than 100 times what the average worker makes would face increased taxes. Let's look live right now at the podium in Davos, Switzerland, where President Donald Trump continues his address at the World Economic Forum. Overshadowing the event, of course, is President Trump threatening tariffs on those who oppose his grab to acquire Greenland. Just in the past few minutes, the president said he would not take Greenland by force, but he does call Greenland our territory. So on Tuesday, the president marked 1 year in office for his second term, touting some of the action his administration has taken. He showed proof there. That includes military action in Venezuela, investments in the United States. He says he also expanded immigration control and more. President Trump also got in a couple of shots at one of his regular targets, and that is our own California Governor Gavin Newsom.
I had a very good relationship with Gavin Newsom when we were, in office together. I was president, he was the governor of California. We had he would talk about it often, and somewhere we just went astray. I just hate the way California is being run. We actually have people leaving. It's never happened before, but I hate the way it's being run.
So Newsom and Trump are both in Davos. In fact, Mr. Newsom tells CBS News' Ed O'Keefe he hopes talking about his interaction with the president helps others, especially European nations, fight back against Mr. Trump instead of rewarding him. Meanwhile, back at home, Attorney General Rob Bonta talking about the California court pushback against the president's policies. California attorneys have filed 54 lawsuits in the first year of Trump's second term in office. Of those, California won 12 cases and achieved 35 preliminary injunctions. Bonta says the lawsuits are to fight against what he calls Trump's lawlessness.
We said then if he breaks the law, we will take him to court. I don't think it's too much to ask that the President of the United States of America follow the law and comply with the Constitution.
The city of San Francisco has also challenged the Trump administration, filing 14 lawsuits.
Well, meanwhile, new data is showing that fewer people are signing up for Obamacare coverage in California. Officials with Cover California say that the number of new enrollees dropped about 32% compared to a year ago, and they fear they could lose about 400,000 policyholders that will end up being priced out. Policyholders face rising costs after healthcare tax credits expired, and Congress has not extended them so far. They also say that current policyholders are opting to downgrade their plans in order to keep those costs a little bit more affordable. We'll keep watching this. Reed.
Popular Asian supermarket chain HMart coming to Fremont in what is expected to be the largest of the chain's locations in the United States. This HMart will be 100,000 square feet at the Pacific Commons Shopping Center. You probably recognize that location over near 880 and Auto Mall Parkway. It's also where a Kohl's used to be. Brad Hamilton is in Fremont, where city leaders and shoppers say they are excited about progress where they live.
Yeah, see, all the stuff.
She lives in Blackhawk, but her grocery store run ends in Fremont. Not because it's convenient, but because she says this is where she can find all the foods that feel familiar.
You try this Hong Kong style.
As she walks us through her regular haul, she points out items she says just aren't available closer to home. So when she heard about what's coming next, well, she was all in.
Of course, I like HMart.
Talk to me about HMart. What do you know about it?
Everything is clean, fresh, and then I pick up very easy.
Today, the ownership of HMart, the nation's largest Asian supermarket chain, announced that it will be opening a flagship store at Pacific Commons Shopping Center in Fremont. The new location will be multi-level, with a food hall, sit-down restaurants, and entertainment. A first for the company.
A city that's growing, that's evolving, whose best days are ahead of it, and they wanted to be part of that story.
Donovan Lazaro, Fremont's economic developer, says construction is expected to begin in late 2026. The Fremont location would be the chain's biggest store in California. It will replace what was once a Kohl's, but is currently a vacant lot.
Really is a reflection of the transformation that we are seeing in retail across the board, where legacy assets now provide a second chance at life.
Donovan says the city was on board with HMart's vision from the first conversation.
We want you to go big, and as big as you can imagine, we will be with you in lockstep the entire way.
HMart specializes in Korean products, but sells a wide variety of Asian goods. When it's finished, Donovan expects HMart to draw shoppers from across the Bay Area. And for some customers in particular, it may just mean that long drive for groceries just got a little bit more worth it.
Nice. Well, HMart also has a store in San Francisco, 2 in San Jose, and 1 planned for Dublin. Construction in Fremont is expected to start at some point this year, and we understand it'll take about 1.5 years before doors open.
Yeah, here we go again for pop star Sabrina Carpenter, who is headed back to the Grammy stage. She posted on social media that she'll perform at the show on February 1st in Los Angeles. That's coming up. Carpenter has 6 nods this year, including Album of the Year for Man's Best Friend and Record and Song of the Year for Man-Child. She already has 2 Grammys after winning last year for Best Pop Vocal Album and Best Pop Solo Performance. Well, here in the Bay Area last night, the Bay Area Grammy nominees gathered at the Claremont Resort in Berkeley to celebrate their success. From rock to jazz, opera, and blues, dozens of local musicians, engineers, and producers came together ahead of next month's award show, and they're all hoping to bring home the gold.
So we are thrilled to have a broad representation of all the categories, even one for Record of the Year.
What it would mean to me, though, particularly personally, is for my grandfather and father that taught me everything that I know.
If I do win, I feel like I'll be representing the feminine side of the blues.
Well, the 2026 Grammy Awards will air February 1st right here on KPIX and stream on Paramount Plus, and it all starts at 5 p.m.
Time right now, 6:42. Good morning, everybody. Have Farmers Insurance. You could see a new charge on your next bill. What it's meant to cover, coming up.
Plus, San Jose expanding its tech footprint. The new data center set to open, and why leaders say it's just the beginning.
Here's a live look outside before we head to break as we await the sunrise together. We're glad you're with us. We'll be right back.
And welcome back, watching live video from our many monitors that bring us headlines from across the globe. Starting in Texas, closing arguments are expected today in the trial of a former school police officer accused of failing to protect students in the 2022 Uvalde school shooting. Adrian Gonzalez, one of the first officers to arrive at Robb Elementary, faces 29 counts of child abandonment or endangerment. He faces up to 2 years in prison if convicted. Well, after a year of continuous measles outbreaks, the U.S. is now on the verge of losing its measles elimination status. Measles has been eliminated in our country since 2000, but U.S. health officials reported more than 2,200 cases last year. Global experts will formally review the U.S. status this spring. And after nearly 3 decades at NASA, astronaut Suni Williams is hanging up her spacesuit. She logged 608 days in space over 3 missions, the second most time in orbit for any NASA astronaut. Her final trip, a Boeing Starliner test flight that ran into problems, stretched into about 9 months aboard the space station. Williams and fellow astronaut Butch Wilmore have now both retired, saying they're grateful for every minute they spent in space. Well, starting today, many farmers' insurance customers in California will see a new fee on their bills. The company is adding a surcharge of about $50 a month over 2 years to help cover a $1 billion bailout of the state's FAIR Plan after wildfire claims wiped out its funds. The FAIR Plan offers basic coverage for homes in high fire risk areas, and consumer advocates worry this move could open the door to more fees after future disasters.
Well, San Jose moves to help people find interim housing, attracting leaders and potential leaders to look at what San Jose is doing. Among those people looking at the ideas is Steve Hilton, who, by the way, is a Republican businessman running for California governor. We were there as he toured the Guadalupe interim housing site. Mayor Matt Mahan tells us Hilton is the 6th candidate to tour the city's 23 interim housing units. The Guadalupe site houses almost 100 people.
These solutions are a game changer. For too long, we said there's only one answer to homelessness, and it's got to cost $1 million a door and take 6 years to build. And I ran for mayor to reject that premise.
Of course we can solve this problem, and my interest here today is to understand that what we can do at the state level to work with local partners who are trying to solve the problem.
As to the governor's race, one poll has Hilton tied for 2nd place with Congressman Eric Swalwell. Republican Chad Bianco led that poll.
All right, Reed. Well, today in San Jose, city leaders will celebrate a big tech infrastructure development in the South Bay. The city, PG&E, and Equinix, a Redwood City-based digital infrastructure company, will flip the switch on a new data center. It's the first to receive power under San Jose's new partnership with PG&E. Leaders say the deal guarantees power delivery for future data centers, helps keep tech investments local, and brings millions in tax revenue. Well, time now for a look at what's coming up a little later on CBS Mornings. Here's Vladimir Duthier.
Good morning, Gianna. Coming up on CBS Mornings. If you're a parent with kids at home, chances are screen time is a major problem in your family. We'll show you how one group is trying to get their kids off the phones and back outdoors. Plus, only on CBS Mornings, Anthony Mason has the honor of announcing this year's inductees to the Songwriters Hall of Fame. And we will be joined by a Pilates instructor who's the secret weapon for some top NFL players, getting them fit and game ready. She'll show us how to up our workout game. And Gail, Adriana, and I may even break out our workout gear. We'll see you at 7.
Vlad, thank you. Can't wait to see that. Now taking a live look outside this morning. Maybe you're donning your workout gear there. Hey, Mother Nature got out the crayon box and used a lot of orange and yellows and reds in the sky. Jess, so beautiful.
And some dark colors up there, too. Those clouds are starting to roll in from the south, and as that continues to be the trend for us today, we're definitely going to notice some more dense clouds into the afternoon and evening hours tonight. I'll show you the reason why coming up in just a bit, but we're waking up to a mild start this morning. 40s in San Jose and Los Gatos, 50s along the coast. 50s and 40s anywhere from San Francisco across that beautiful Bay Bridge you see behind me right now over into Oakland. Now, daytime highs in those communities, they're not going to warm up too much more. We're only warming up into the low 50s today near Antioch. mid to upper 50s in places like San Francisco and Oakland. And you see that gray color behind me. It starts in Sacramento Valley and it moves its way all the way over into the Carquinez Strait in the Delta. What we're noticing right now is a dense fog advisory issued by the National Weather Service, and that low visibility is noticeable everywhere throughout some of those microclimates, especially in the valleys. So take it slow out there on the roads. We'll continue to keep you updated on those conditions as it begins to expire just around 11 o'clock. But we'll continue to notice clouds surging in from the south throughout this afternoon. This is just around 1 o'clock, partly cloudy skies all throughout the Bay Area. We could see some light splashes of showers just along our coastal communities as an area of low pressure starts moving its way to the south, bringing in some showers to our friends south of us. But back here in the Bay, we're really just getting the leftover clouds into the afternoon and evening hours tonight. Mixed with that, we're also seeing light winds continuing to mostly move offshore in places like Concord, Oakland, and San Francisco. Gusts anywhere up to around 5 to 10 miles per hour. So a very mild day for us in store as we head outside. We're also gearing up for daytime highs for the rest of this week, at least, sitting in the upper 50s throughout the Bay. A little bit warmer in some of our microclimates down into the South Bay, closer to San Jose, but all of us start to clear up and warm up a little bit as we head into our our Saturday forecast specifically. That's when high pressure starts to build in. We'll see sunny skies for a little bit, and then another system starts rolling in, bringing in mostly cloudy skies Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday of next week with a little bit of a warm up at that point. This is very mild, though. Daytime highs are wavering between upper 50s and lower 60s. More on that coming up in just a bit. Back to you.
Okay, let's get you rolling on those freeways, especially if you're headed into the Altamont Pass this morning. Jessica talking about some foggy spots over towards the East Bay. You can kind of see that in one of our live looks here. This is 205 right at 580. Camera courtesy of Caltrans, and it is busy for commuters heading through there, heading into the Altamont towards that Dublin interchange. So super commuters, maybe grab that coffee, get going. You might need a few extra minutes. Southbound 680 live look here. It's crowded, headed near Main Street. Stays busy all the way connecting onto 24. And we're kind of seeing the same conditions. It's a busy ride westbound San Mateo Bridge over towards 101 this morning. Getting there, you've got the slow and go conditions along 880. Let's get a live look here, though, at 80. This is near Carlson. If you're headed maybe through Berkeley this morning towards the Bay Bridge, you've got a busy ride heading through there with some brake lights from an earlier crash. That's a look at your morning commute.
Time right now, 6:52. So what if your bosses told everybody in the office, hey, no need to wear shoes? It's an idea that has a lot of people talking. Maybe you can weigh in on social media. Go to X, use the hashtag KPIX, and let us know what you think about shoes off policy where you work. Time now for your Money Watch report. Okay, so top of mind, what Wall Street is doing as trading begins. This is a live look at the big board right now. We are in positive territory. These changes today are a welcome relief after yesterday. Your 401k in Wall Street had its worst day since October. And the reason, investors are skittish over President Trump threatening tariffs on European nations who stand in his way of acquiring Greenland. The president says it's for national security. This morning, there is more tariff fallout to report, this time pitting President Trump against Amazon CEO Andy Jassy. So here's what it's all about. Mr. Jassy blames price hikes that a lot of people are paying on Amazon directly on President Trump's tariff strategy. He says that Amazon stocked up on inventory ahead of the administration's tariff announcement last spring, but adds that supply ran out in the fall, even before the holidays. So Mr. Jassy says tariffs had led some sellers to be forced to pass the cost on to you, the consumer. Well, the fight between Bay Area Meta and the Federal Trade Commission advances this morning. Regulators argue Meta built an illegal monopoly by buying Instagram and WhatsApp. Last fall, a federal judge ruled for Meta on the matter. Meta says it faces plenty of competition, and they plan to keep investing in new products. Let's talk about Netflix. They reported fourth quarter earnings after the bell on Tuesday. The company hit a record 325 million global subscribers with a revenue of $12 billion. The stock was down slightly, though, on concerns about slowing growth. The results come as the streaming giant updates its $83 billion offer to buy Warner Brothers to all cash. That's, of course, in an attempt to fend off a takeover bid by our parent company, Paramount Skydance.
Okay, so let us know what you think of this. This is interesting. More offices around the country are trying something a little unusual. They're asking employees to take off their shoes at the door. So I guess basically before you walk in, you're going to remove your shoes.
Okay, it might sound strange, especially here in the United States, where we keep our shoes on when we go into people's houses or office places. But ditching street shoes, some say, could have some surprising health benefits. Bradley Blackburn took his shoes off to explain this new trend.
At the New York City office of AI startup Spur, the workplace looks like any other until you glance down at the floor.
I think this is the first interview I've ever done in my socks.
Co-founders Sneha Sivakumar and Anushka Nachalan have made their company shoe-free.
Gives a feeling of home where, this becomes your second home, especially when you're building a startup.
The hours we put in, it's just like not comfortable to have shoes on the whole time.
Just like in shoes-off homes, you leave street shoes at the door. But here, Spur's employees and office guests can slide into custom-branded indoor footwear. No shoes is now a key part of their company culture.
We're all on the same team. We're all trying to do something together.
They're not alone. According to tracking website noshoes.fun, companies all around the world are walking the walk. The goal is more than comfort and culture, it's cleanliness.
It's actually pretty grim.
Indiana University professor Gabriel Filippelli tested shoes and was surprised to learn what we track in on our soles. It can pose risks for health.
Heavy metals, which can impact, particularly if you have children at home, can impact their neurological development, their brains, their organs. That dust and soil might also contain E. coli contaminants, which can cause significant gastrointestinal issues.
Data shows damp mopping helps, but he says leaving contaminants by the front doors of homes or offices just makes sense.
This is a risk you can manage.
It's working in this workplace. The only problem here, they need a bigger shoe rack.
It's like part of us.
And for more companies, the shoe fits when you don't wear it.
Okay, and we want to know what you think about this. We put a poll on our X account whether you support something like this, and look at that. 94% say no. That's a big difference. Really? That many people don't take your shoes off at the office?
And you can continue voting. Look, in Asia, you take your shoes off when you go into someone's home. It's a sign of respect. And by the way, we're walking on poop on the streets of San Francisco.
Hearing that right there, take your shoes off. We need to talk more about this. We are going to on Pix Plus 44 Cable 12 right now. So join us for that conversation.